How are we doing, YouTube? Raw Life back again with another Lufenia, potentially a TCC challenge. No synergy, but it's yet to see if Aerith will be banned. Anyway, this is the new story chapter for Iroha's release. You're facing two zombie whales. I brought Garland, Guy, and Aerith. You guys know I love Guy, so any chance to use him is great for me. Basically, the orb here is a little restrictive, but everything else is basically straightforward. The orb was worded a little strangely on release, but it actually is at the end of your turn, 15k brave or more on each of your characters will tick the orb up. If one character has less than 15k, the orb will not tick up. So Guy helps there with his great refund. Aerith obviously batteries the party like crazy, so we kept pretty good handle on this orb the whole fight till the very end. We had a little bit of a close call, but anyway, straight into the action here. As you see, we keeping the orb ticked up with Aerith and Guy, and Garland is pretty much using all of his skill 1 round edges because they become delay immune later in the fight. So trying to delay them as much as possible as a group while we still can. The orb will disappear at 79% and then come back at 49%. And at a couple of different thresholds, they also build huge brave shields. And you have to make sure you break them, or they will dispel all their debuffs, or dispel all your buffs and cleanse all their debuffs, and it's just a mess. So make sure you bring somebody who can chew up brave. Obviously for me, Garland, hitting weakness thanks to Guy was hugely helpful to handle those big brave shields. These whales are not very dangerous in general. The orb is the main issue, but if you don't break them when they get those big brave gains, then they will make you pay. So careful there. We're approaching that 79% threshold where they will delay themselves slightly and the orb will go away and they'll build a big brave shield. The first one is 100,000. Then I know the last couple are 200,000, so kind of tough to deal with if you don't have any great brave shavers. So make sure you bring someone who can deal with that. They're both now at that brave threshold, or that HP threshold where the braves come up. So at this point, my strategy for this run was to really melt them with a Tifa friend unit during the time where their orb is gone. So from 79% to 49%, I wanted to melt them as fast as possible. So I threw on the Gabranth call, got them debuffed to hell already, as you can see, and then I brought in my friend Tifa and went to work. As you can see, she continues to just be outrageous damage wise. Battle cry into LD, obviously, and then 5th turn, just another LD. But look at that. Look at those big fat numbers. As I said, I brought Tifa in when they're at 79, and you know, in just a matter of a couple turns, thanks to her, we are down to 59 and 53. She's got another LD use on her last friend turn, so boom. Basically, she takes us the entire way from that the whole time the orb is gone. Tifa handles bringing them back down to 49. And I want to mention Guy here. Guy was really cool on release. I really like his kit. I never even play his game, but I just really got into Guy. A lot of people were underselling him, I felt. So I've used Guy, as you can see on my channel. I've used him a handful of times, and I really enjoy being able to use him here. He keeps the imperil, the Earth imperil and Earth enchant up the whole fight, so everyone's hitting weakness non-stop. He does refund. You know, he's keeping the brave up so that orb is handled, and just really great. Great place to use Guy, and as I always say, Guy speak Lufenia. Back into the action though, they're both below 50%, so they got another shield as well as the orb return. So my strategy to end this fight from 50% down is to basically keep my brave up as high as possible with a combination of Guy and Aerith, while chewing up their shields each time they get them with Garland strictly. Garland being enchanted and hitting for weakness is really, really strong on this stage, obviously. I threw the Onion Night Call on Guy to do a little turn shenanigans, because we're not really in trouble with the turn count, but I still have BT and a summon I want to use, because these guys can do some kind of funky stuff near the end of the fight, especially if you don't deal with their brave and their brave shields. They can dispel all your buffs and cleanse their own debuffs, which is run killer. Absolutely kills your run. So we're wanting to kind of burst them down as quick as possible. They are delay immune the second half of this fight. As you can see, the frames around their turns, I can't delay them. Break delay still works, so that's good. But checking the debuff here, I got some debuff management. Even at 8 debuff quality of life, still I love a good debuff. So typically I'm doing fights with 8 debuffs now, as you see here. Aerith was gone for the friend Tifa, so she's got plenty of skill uses left. She doesn't really use her skills, but she's got a couple of Seal Evils left. So I'm gonna go ahead, even though the buff doesn't need refreshing, there's a couple times here where I will just use the LD just to make sure they don't go to waste. Guy, you see that, just doing work. Not a DPS, but still. You gotta love a tank like Guy that can do a little bit of damage as well, if you put him in the right team build, of course. We're getting towards the end here. The orbs are looking fine. I have been using Guy's free turns on his AA mostly, weak damage up. Helps when people are hitting brave. Helps your brave damage, and it's overall a good idea to keep that up when you can. If it's a fight like this where you're not going to run out of skills on Guy. We popped the summon here because I know that now that they're undelayable, they're going to get another turn each at least. And as I said, they're a little dangerous sometimes near the end of the fight when they're moving. So wanted to immobilize them at least for one turn with a Judgment Bolt, or one turn each. So we do that, kind of spam a couple LDs. 217 each. Guy with the LD. Guy does damage, baby. Yeah, we're just spamming the LDs to try to wrap this up. Ideally, before they get many more turns, or any more turns, really. We're at 13% and 2% with 9 on the orb, and on each orb. And the orb goes up when you're at 15k Brave apiece, as I said. But we kind of let the orb get out of hand because here at the end I'm just rushing to finish, and everything looks fine. But if you take a look at B, his orb is actually now down to 5, I believe, and didn't break that 15k with everyone, so it's gonna keep going down. Get a little squeaky bum time. No one likes that. It's down to 4 now, and he had a turn, so now it's down to 2. So even with a team like this, if you don't pay attention to that orb, it can really come back to bite you. We're at 1 now, and kind of freaking out. Don't want this otherwise smooth run to fail because of the orb. So with Brave Attack, luckily that puts it back up to 2. But as you see here, back to 1 after Garland. So we're in big trouble. We're a little scared. And I use her EX and finish it off. Thankfully, squeaky bum time, but all's well that ends well. Thanks for watching, you guys. Check me out on Twitch. Follow, subscribe here on YouTube if you like it. And I appreciate you. See you next time.